Welcome back to Woody Makes. My name is Callie, and today I am so excited to share with you my large braided apple Danish recipe. So this recipe is incredibly easy. It's perfect for the fall. It's a great time to use up these apples while they are in season, and I can't wait to share this recipe with you, and I know you're gonna love it. But before we begin, as always, please remember to subscribe, like, share, chat in the comment section, and follow me on social media for more recipes and additional content. So these are the ingredients that we're gonna need. We're gonna need a couple of large apples that I have peeled and thinly sliced. We're also gonna need some brown sugar, a combination of spices. Here I have some cinnamon, allspice, and ginger. You could use any kind of warm sort of pumpkin pie type spices that you have. Cardamom, ginger, nutmeg, whatever you like will go swimmingly in this recipe. It's all gonna be delicious. I also have a little bit of vanilla, flour, or cornstarch, whatever you have, orange zest or lemon zest, whatever you have, either works. I have some butter, salt, and here I have my Dutch oven. You do not need to use a Dutch oven. You can use any kind of large skillet. Heating up over about medium, and I'm just gonna add in most of my ingredients. So my apples, actually I'm gonna add all of my ingredients except for the flour. We will add that in a little bit, and our vanilla. We're gonna hold off on that until the end. So my brown sugar, my apples, all of these warm, beautiful spices, and some salt, of course. Always should be salting your desserts. Our butter and our zest. Wonderful. Okay, and so now I'm just gonna cook this for a few minutes. I'd say maybe 5 minutes or so, just until the butter melts and the apples soften. And just while this cooks, I just want to give you a little heads up about the rest of the recipe. We are going to be using just store-bought puff pastry dough that you could find in your grocery store in the frozen section. Almost every grocery store has it, and I know it's store-bought and I love making things homemade. However, if you've ever made puff pastry, it is a long process. It can be a little difficult. I mean, I will have a recipe coming out eventually, but I just don't think that you need to make homemade puff pastry in this recipe. The store-bought actually works really, really well. I am just gonna keep stirring this for, again, about 5 minutes. When there's about a minute left of cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and add my flour and cook that for an additional minute, just to get rid of that raw garlic flavor, and for it to be just evenly dispersed throughout the apples. So I'll meet back up with you when I'm finished. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 4 minutes, and so at this point I'm gonna go ahead and add my flour or cornstarch, whatever you're using, and I'm gonna stir this for an additional minute, and then we will add the vanilla. All right, so next what we're gonna do is add the vanilla and just give this a stir. And I've already kind of let this apple mixture cool down a little bit, and the reason for that is because we don't want to put all of the heat onto the puff pastries. Just let it sit for just a few minutes. It's okay if it's still warm, but you don't want it to be scorching hot. And what I have here is a baking sheet lined with parchment paper that I have just generously floured. And then I have my puff pastry laid over the top. It's frozen puff pastry. You have to thaw it, just thaw it according to the package's instructions. It usually takes, for me at least, a few hours in the refrigerator. Okay, so let's do this. This is how it goes. We are going to put our apple mixture, down the center, and you want to leave some space along all of the sides. And so now I'm going to take a knife and we're going to cut a little rectangle at the top and then a couple of triangles on the sides. Do the same thing on the bottom, so a rectangle on the bottom. And so now what we're going to do is I'm trying to kind of keep a little space along the edge of the apple mixture, but that's okay if it spills over. I'm just gonna make some slits on a slight diagonal, just down the side. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And so this is how easy it is. We're gonna fold over this top flap, and this is gonna help seal all the apples on the inside, and we are just gonna make a braid. So we're just gonna go right side over the left side, and then just alternate. And then kind of press down a little bit on either side, just so to help it stick a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so I'm just gonna keep doing this same motion, left over right, all the way until I get to the bottom. Okay, so as you can see, we're down to our last 2 strips. So I'm going to fold over this bottom half. And again, just seal it on each side. And then I'm just gonna do the same pattern I did and put 1 flap over. And then finish off with the other flap. And that's it. And then just make sure to press it down to seal it. And look how beautiful this is. And it hasn't even baked yet. And remember, if at any point, you mess up the braid, it's fine. Do not worry about it. It's gonna taste great. It's still gonna be beautiful. No one's gonna notice. So next, we're gonna pop this into the freezer for 30 minutes. And what this is gonna do is just, kind of help this to not explode in the oven. And it's gonna also help it to puff up more in the oven. So I'm gonna pop this in the freezer for 30 minutes. While it's in the freezer, go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Get that nice and hot. And then after the 30 minutes in the freezer, I'll meet back up with you for just a couple more steps, and I promise we are almost done. All right, I just took this out of the freezer. It was in there for 30 minutes, and now just for a couple of finishing touches, all we're gonna do is add an egg wash, which is simply 1 egg mixed with about a teaspoon of milk or water. And I'm just gonna spread this all over the top. Okay, so that's looking great. Now, all we're gonna do is top this with a little bit of sugar. If there wasn't already enough sugar inside of this, might I add a little bit more? And that's it. We're gonna pop this into our oven for 25 to 30 minutes. You're looking for this to be nice and, puffed up and lightly golden brown. And that's when you'll know it is finished. And so I'm gonna pop this in the oven and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so we are back, and this beauty baked for exactly 30 minutes, and it's nice and golden brown and puffed up, and it looks so amazing. And by the way, you want to make sure to let it sit at room temperature to cool down quite a bit before we finish this off with a little bit of icing, because if this wasn't sweet enough, we had to add a little bit of icing. If you didn't think I was going to add icing, then we don't know each other very well. So I just have a little bit of milk and some powdered sugar. And I'm just going to stir this up. All right, now that this is all nice and smooth, I'm just going to drizzle it all over the top. And look at that. This looks so amazing. If you wanted to, of course, you could just sprinkle some powdered sugar over the top, but I like icing on my dishes, so that's what I'm gonna do. This looks so good. I can't wait to dig in. And I'm gonna keep icing this, and then I'm gonna give you a little close-up of how this looks. This right here is the apple Danish of your dreams. It is so amazing. It's so simple to make. It's so much better than anything that you buy in the grocery store. There's no need to make any homemade puff pastry, unless you want to, of course. It is just so delicious, and I know you're gonna love it. And as always, for the full written recipe, head to my blog, moonymix.com. I'll put the link in the description box below. Click on the link, the recipe will come right up, and make this braided apple Danish. I know you're gonna love it, and let me know what you think, because I would love to hear from you. Thank you, I'll see you next time. Bye.